Jey Meka's channel. Jey Meka's channel. Jey Meka's channel. Jey Meka's channel.
Hey y'all, welcome to my review of Welcome to Derry episode 2. And I have to say that this episode was just as good as the first one. I really enjoyed it. We can start off with the Hanlon family. So they move into this town. Major Hanlon and his wife and his child, they move into Derry, and they kind of touch on like the racial tension of the times, which some might say it's a little too woke, or they might say they didn't have to include that. But I felt like it was important that they included that, at the level that they did, just to show like the sign of the times. And I don't think they did too much with that. The wife, you start seeing indications of the racial tension when the wife is kind of walking through the town and people are staring at her. She's like the only Black lady walking down the street. People are staring. I think at one point somebody threw like an egg at her or something like that. The son has just started school there. He's having issues with bullying, things like that. The major himself, I don't really feel like he had any issues really with racial tension. Not too much, at least for him, and in regard to Major Hanlon. But so that basically kind of sums their story up. And Major Hanlon, he's kind of starting to look around. Things in the town seem a little strange. He's very observant. He's a very observant man. And I feel like he's starting to see like something's not right here. And even when he's on the base, he's kind of like looking around and he sees like this area that's kind of like excluded where everybody doesn't have access to. And that kind of comes into play later on in the episode, where they decide to bring him into this top secret mission. And they're doing this based off of his skills. They did like a test in the last episode where they basically had him jumped and he passed the test. He was deemed trustworthy, and they wanted to make him a part of this secret mission. So this mission involves basically they're trying to locate some type of like machine or tool or something that prevents people from alerting them that fear is around. So the other officer, Dick Halloran, I believe that's his name. He has like a psychic ability, and they're using him to locate this machine. And they're basically going to use this somehow to basically win wars. That's what's going to go on with that. But that pretty much sums their stories up. But the really the best part of this episode is the story of Lily and Ronnie. These are the two little girls that were they were the only two that survived that night in the movie theater when all their friends were unalived, right? So they're kind of going through it. They're both having psychological issues. They're both having like very, very vivid hallucinations. And there's two particular scenes in this episode that they did a really good job on. We can start with Ronnie. So Ronnie's mother passed away, and she's being raised by her grandmother and her father. Now, at the time, right now, what's going on is that, remember in the last episode, Ronnie let those kids into this movie theater. This is the movie theater that her father works at or has some type of ownership in. I'm not sure, but I believe he just works at. And so the town is trying to blame her father for the deaths of these children because it was so gruesome and kind of unexplainable that they're like, okay, this had to be this guy that did this to these kids. And she's like, my dad didn't do anything. So she's dealing with the guilt of the town, basically, looking at her dad like he's this murderer. And she ends up having this really, really bad nightmare, or I would say hallucination more so, of her mother, who basically gives birth to her in her preteen form. And it is like, my mouth was open the entire time. It was a crazy scene. Gives birth to her, and then is telling her that it's her fault that she's passed away, that it's going to be her fault, that eventually the father is going to be killed because of the murders, right? And so the mom is basically talking all this mess to her. It's scaring the crap out of her, and she ends up, somehow that she's tied to the mom because, again, the mom gives birth to her, and there's an umbilical cord, and somehow she like ends up getting freed from that, and then like her nightmare ends, right? So that was that thing. Y'all gotta go see it because I can't even explain it in the best detail because it was just like I said, my mouth was open the whole time. Like I was like, oh heck no. So then there's Lily, whose father, and I might have missed it, but I'm not sure. I know that her father also passed away, but he like was found in pieces. Whatever happened to him was really gruesome and crazy, and Lily actually saw it. And so she's dealing with her own set of psychological issues. Like she has already been committed to the psych hospital once behind just dealing with the death of her father. The mom kind of doesn't really know how to deal with her. She just feels like her daughter's gone crazy. And she has a reputation in the town for being a little loony. And so what ends up happening is the police department that's corrupt takes advantage of this fact, and they want to close this case. And this is where kind of the racial stuff comes into play a little bit. They really want this case closed, and they try to coerce Lily to basically say that Ronnie's dad is the one that killed these kids. And at first she's like, you know, he wasn't there. And so the captain, he tells her, okay, well, since you don't want to say who did it or if he did it, we're going to start looking at you, and the people in the town are going to start looking at you. And then what are you going to do? You know, because you already have this reputation of being, you know, not well and having been committed to this psych hospital. So, yeah, like eventually he basically ends up kind of wording the question to her, the captain, in a way that she ends up saying that, yeah, Ronnie's dad did do it. So they go and arrest him, and Ronnie is devastated. Okay. But actually, prior to that, after that, so then she goes to like the grocery store or something. And this is the scene for Lily that is crazy. She goes to the grocery store, and there's like a man following her around the grocery store. There's people in the grocery store doing all these weird ticking motions. And again, it's kind of hard to understand whether this is a hallucination or this is actually happening. But I think it's a hallucination, at least for her. And so she's walking around this grocery store. She ends up in the pickle aisle. All of a sudden, she sees her dad inside of one of these pickle jars, like his head. And then other body parts of his in the other pickle jars. And like basically she busts the pickle jars, they fall off the shelves, and his body parts end up all over the floor, and they form this weird thing that starts to attack her. And then she screams, and then all of a sudden it's like she snaps out of it, and the grocery store owner is like, what the heck are you doing? Like, what's wrong with you, right? And so because of that, the mom decides to send her back to the psych ward anyway. So yeah, that was like probably the craziest parts of this episode, Ronnie and Lily. And the other part was they did eventually at the end, at like the wrap of the ending of the episode, they ended up pulling a car out of a lake because Dick Halloran, he ended up, his psychic ability, he was able to like locate that there was an object in the ground. They pulled this car up out the ground, and it had a bunch of bodies in it. I'm not sure if those are the bodies from the first episode where the family like picked up that kid. I'm not sure what that's from, but I guess we'll find out in episode 3. And yeah, that was pretty much the rest of the episode 2. And like I said, it was really good. If y'all haven't watched it, y'all need to check it out. There are moments, some people are saying it's not scary. I wouldn't say it's scary. I would just say that it definitely keeps you intrigued. It's interesting. We did not see Pennywise in this episode, and I saw where a lot of people were like hoping to see Pennywise. I think he's coming, y'all. I think he's gonna probably be on the next couple episodes because in the preview you kind of see like him running around in the background. But yeah, I'm gonna stick this one through. What do y'all think about the series? Let me know. Drop your comments below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to our channel, Jey and Meka, on all platforms. And yeah, I will see you for episode 3.